Hello, everyone. Great to be live with you. Congress has undergone a lengthy grilling of the Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle, today, following the absolute disaster of a security plan that ended up in the former president being shot. Kimberly Cheadle, grilled by Congress Oversight Committee. James Comer opened this grilling session. And I'm going to play some of the key sound bites today on what was found out from her. She didn't like to answer a lot of questions, but we're gonna play some key things. James Comer started by saying that Secret Service has thousands of employees and a significant budget. So the big concern Congress has right now is the leadership. If the budget's big, the staffing is big, we got to look at the leadership and the management of these people and why the protectees are not safe right now. Democrats and Republicans aligned on this, going in attack mode after Kimberly Cheadle, because in all honesty, what happened with the Trump attempted assassination is an omen for all the Democrat protectees too. As soon as that happened to Trump, I thought Joe Biden is at major risk right now if this is what's going on. So Democrats and Republicans equally very concerned. And James Comer noted it's incredible that no one has been fired for this massive failure yet. It really is. Kimberly Cheadle has said multiple times now she's not going to retire. And she has said that her bosses, Alejandro Mayorkas and Joe Biden, are singing her praises. So they're not planning on firing her. And my thought was that's logical because Joe Biden, his opponent is Trump, right? So his opponent almost got taken out thanks to Kimberly Cheadle's leadership. So Biden would like that, right? I mean, it's horrendous to say. But no, in all honesty, with her leadership, Joe Biden's at risk too. So he really should fire her. James Comer said, it's my firm belief that you should resign. But she refused to. Secret Service wanted this hearing to be private, he said. They lacked communication with the Oversight Committee. Comer tried to just reach out and get basic details without a hearing, but they wouldn't communicate. So he had to subpoena Kimberly Cheadle. Still, DHS, who controls Secret Service, asked for more time. Now, if you look at how DHS managed the border, you shouldn't be surprised that DHS being in charge of Secret Service is also going very badly. They talked about Cheadle has been the Secret Service director since September of 2022. Cheadle comes from PepsiCo Security. That was her last job. But she says that she actually spent 29 years in the agency, has participated in the security of every president since Clinton. Cheadle says she immediately began re-evaluating the RNC security after this assassination attempt happened. And my last video, we covered how Secret Service told the Washington Post they were not doing anything different with the RNC. But she says, no, we started reevaluating that and we're reevaluating all the security now, she told them in the hearing. Now, Secret Service has an annual budget of $3.1 billion, according to the hearing today, and 8,000 employees. So with that kind of budget and that kind of staffing, how was Trump understaffed? They couldn't scrounge up enough staff for that rooftop. That's everyone's question. Cheadle says that the building was outside of the perimeter. Why would they place the building outside of the perimeter? Make the perimeter big enough to contain all key security elements. Comer asked about the sloped roof. That's what stunned everyone, is when Cheadle said the reason they couldn't do security on that roof is because it had a slope. A blatant lie, obviously, because she had multiple snipers on roofs with the exact same slope. So that really astounded people and exposed her for the BS she was spouting. So Comer goes back to that, asked her about that today. He's like, well, if the sloped roof was the issue, now future assassins know to look for sloped roofs because they won't be taken care of. Cheadle responded that we were supposed to have Overwatch, and I'm looking into that, but Secret Service, quote, prefer to have sterile roofs. That was her response. I don't know what that means. Checking your comment section. Hello, everybody. Laud says she stated at the hearing how many people they protect on a daily basis. Why would they let that info out? And Kev says she failed miserably. And Kev also gave me my nickname, Ivory Mecton. Very controversial nickname for YouTube. All right. So sloped roof. Comer, we're gonna play a soundbite here. Comer said, do you know if the shooter used a drone beforehand? So reports are that he was even flying a drone overhead and nobody noticed. Cheadle says that information has been passed to us from the FBI. So she confirmed it. FBI did tell us there was a drone. Wow, how did we miss that? Shooter was able to fly a drone. She wouldn't say how many agents were assigned, quote, but we feel that there was an appropriate number of agents assigned. That's what I heard her say. I know I just put the comment from Laud up saying that she did say how many agents were assigned. I heard her say the opposite. Okay, we got a soundbite. How many temporary agents? Comer was asking about whether there were only temporary agents, fill-ins protecting Trump. And this is how the exchange went down.
There are reports that several agents assigned to the rally on July 13th were temporary agents not normally assigned to President Trump. Is that accurate?
What I can tell you is that the agents that were assigned to former President Trump are Secret Service agents that provide close protection to him, and that was what was actual on that day.
How many temporary agents were there that day?
Quite frequently, sir, during campaign events, the Secret Service utilizes agents from HSI or the Department of Homeland Security.
You don't know how many?
Supplement our plan.
Have the investigators reconstructed the shooter's precise movements over the past days, weeks, and months?
So, again,
we need to have confidence that if the FBI is leading this investigation, that they're leading a credible investigation, because there's some of us sitting up here today that don't have a lot of confidence in the FBI. So I will repeat the question. Have the investigators reconstructed the shooter's precise moments over the past days, weeks, and months?
I understand your question, Chairman, and I share your concerns about wanting to make sure that we have factual information. The FBI is conducting a criminal investigation. The Secret Service is conducting an internal investigation. There are a number of OIG investigations, and there is the external investigation that the President
Last question for me. Before July 13th, had the Trump detail requested additional resources?
What I can tell you is that for the event on July 13th, the details that were the assets that were requested for that day were given.
Okay, so she is saying that she's admitting they did turn down extra security when the Trump team asked in the past, but not this time, she says. Now, Laud is saying it was towards the end where Cheadle did admit how many security were on hand. Well, that's good. So I'm reviewing the first 2 hours worth. This was hours and hours and hours today. It just wrapped up, and I just wanted to get on here, give you the key sound bites from the first 2 hours. Jim says Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina told her straight up that's BS, and then stated, "You are full of SHIT." Yikes. Backpack, not a security issue either, per Cheadle. She's like the rangefinder, not an issue. A lot of people like to hunt. A lot of people bring rangefinders to speeches so they can tell their friends exactly how far they are from the president. Is that what it is? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Not an issue. Raskin goes up next. Jamie Raskin, Democrat congressman. And he asks her why Trump was allowed to go on stage when there was quite an amount of time prior to him going on stage when they were aware of a suspicious person. A lot of people have this question. Listening to this hearing, made me proud of members of Congress for listening to their voters, because I'm listening to all my viewers. I've got my own questions, and they were asking everybody's questions in this hearing. So I loved to see that. So here's Raskin's
He was
question.
known to be suspicious before former President Trump took the stage.
That is the information I have received.
Why was he allowed to take the stage with a suspicious person having been identified in the crowd?
So I appreciate the question, and I'd like to make 2 points. If the detail had been past information that there was a threat, the detail would never have brought the former president out onto stage. That is what we do, and that is who we are. We are charged with protecting all of our protectees.
So you distinguish between someone who is suspicious and someone who's threatening, is that right?
I do. There are a number of times at protective events where suspicious people are identified, and those individuals have to be investigated and determined what is it that identifies that person as suspicious.
So did you deny a request for additional resources that had been made by the Trump campaign?
There were no assets denied for that event in Butler on the 13th.
So she is saying that they only considered the gunman suspicious, not a threat, in the lead up to Trump being on stage. And Raskin went on to ask, so the Secret Service didn't know the gunman had a weapon when Trump went on stage? She said correct. But guess who did know there was a weapon? Trump fans who were on the ground. I played for you guys the clip of that redheaded Trump voter who was saying, he's saying, yeah, we're watching a gunman jump from building to building. He's flailing his rifle as he's trying to climb up this roof. We're trying to yell at police about it. So he's seeing this. Why isn't Secret Service seeing it? It's in my YouTube shorts, the redheaded Trump voter talking about that. I don't think anyone got that guy's name. He went really viral. BBC interview. Talked to him, and we have another clip of the gunman like inchworming up that slope of the roof. Someone actually caught it on their cell phone video. Raskin actually played that clip in the hearing today, and was, I believe it was Raskin or maybe someone after him, and said, Cheadle, you consider that suspicious, not a threat? As this guy is trying to secretively inch up the roof side? So again, like, nothing she's saying is giving us peace of mind here. It's even more disturbing. No, people secretly creeping up to the peak of a roof is not threatening. Okay. Raskin says that, is it right that an AR-15 serial number is how the shooter was identified? And she said that is correct. It was the shooter's dad's gun that he used, according to media reports. And Secret Service is saying they were able, because the shooter did not have ID on him, we are told. So they used the serial number of the AR-15 to trace back who owns this gun. It's his dad. Reach out to his dad. Yeah, my son's been missing today. Boom, connect the dots. That's how they did it so quickly, according to the hearing today. Now, we have a soundbite from Jim Jordan, who he started out, as soon as he got his time, each member of Congress got 5 minutes. He comes out saying, were you lying or guessing? And she goes on to avoid the answering how many times they turned down increased security. Here it is.
The day after President Trump is shot, Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said, quote, the assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security resources that the U.S. Secret Service or the Department of Homeland Security rebuffed is absolutely false. The next day, Secretary Mayorkas said that is an unequivocally false assertion. We had not received any request for additional security measures that were rebuffed. But 5 days later, the Washington Post said this: top officials repeatedly rejected requests from Donald Trump's security detail for more personnel. The next day, the New York Times said this: Mr. Guglielmi acknowledged that the Secret Service had turned down some requests for additional federal security assets for Mr. Trump's detail. So which is it? Because both statements can't be true. Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
Neither, sir, and I appreciate the question.
Well, what were you doing? Because those statements don't jive.
So what I can tell you is that for the event in Butler, there were no requests that were denied. As far as requests,
Well, maybe they got tired of asking. Maybe you turned them down so darn much, they said, not worth asking. How many times did you turn them down ahead of that?
I think that it is important to distinguish between what some people may view as a denial of an asset or a request.
Well, is Mr. Guglielmi your spokesperson? He said he acknowledged the Secret Service had turned down some requests. I'm asking how many?
A denial of a request does not equal a vulnerability.
Well, tell me what it is.
There are a number of ways that threats and risks can be mitigated with a number of different assets, whether that be through personnel, whether that be through technology, or other resources.
Well, tell the committee which it was. They asked for additional help in some form or another. You told them no. How many times did you tell them no, and what did you tell them no to?
Again, I cannot speak to specific incidents, but I can tell you in general terms, the Secret Service is judicious with their resources based on.
What does some requests mean?
Oh my gosh, they're judicious with their 8,000 staff resources. So frustrating. Sunshine writes, Barney Fife could have done a better job protecting Trump. Yeah, one of the members of Congress brought up Barney Fife. Like, you could have put Barney Fife on that rooftop and it would have stopped this, but you did nothing. What is going on? Welcome to the jungle, ladies. Someone wrote. Okay, so second half of that, are you lying or guessing? Jim Jordan goes on to try to get her to answer on these contradictions. Her agency seems to be going back and forth on everything.
Judicious with their resources based on.
What does some requests mean? How many times? Some indicate requests is plural. So more than once they asked for additional help and you turned them down. What did they ask for and how many times did you turn them down? Pretty basic questions.
So again, without having all of the details in front of me, sir, what I can tell you is that there are times.
You didn't get briefed on how many times you turned down the Trump detail when they asked for additional help?
I'm sorry.
You didn't get briefed on that before you came to this hearing, knowing you were going to get asked that question?
What I can tell you is that in generic terms, when details make a request, there are times that there are alternate ways to cover off on that threat or that risk.
But that's not what he said. He said they were denied certain requests, requests. This is your spokesperson, not me talking. This is the Secret Service talking. And what a change from absolutely false, unequivocally false to, oh, by the way, there were some times where we didn't give them what they wanted. That's a huge change in 5 days. And the fact that you can't answer how many times you did that, that's pretty darn frustrating, not just for me, but for the country.
I hear your frustration.
Let me ask you this. Were any of those requests denied to President Trump's detail after you knew about the Iranian threat?
What I can tell you, again, I don't know the specifics, is that there are times when we can fill a request. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a Secret Service asset or resource. We can fill that request with locally available assets.
You spoke to anyone at the White House since July 13th?
Yes, I have.
Who'd you talk to?
I have briefed the President and the Vice President.
Talked to the First Lady?
No, I have not.
Talked to the White House staff? Anyone in the White House communications?
No, I have not.
Have you talked to the counter sniper who took the shot that took out the bad guy?
Yes, I have.
And can you tell us about that conversation?
I would not want to reveal conversations that I've had with my employees.
But that's exactly the kind of information the American people want to know. American people who pay your salary.
I understand. This is an ongoing investigation, and
Who's all doing the investigating at Secret Service? I know the Inspector General, but is there also an internal investigation in addition to the Inspector General?
We are conducting a mission assurance investigation internally, yes.
You know what it looks like, Director? It looks like you won't answer some pretty basic questions. It looks like you got a 9% raise and you cut corners when it came to protecting one of the most important individuals, most well-known individuals on the planet. A former president, likely the guy who's going to be the next president. Looks like you guys were cutting corners.
It is so alarming that she hasn't been fired at this point. It really is. Michael brings up a good point. I thought I heard they ran a blood test to identify crooks. I believe it was CNN who reported that. You just reminded me of that. That they tested his DNA, and it's like how do they? He has no criminal record. How do they have his DNA on hand? But that's what the media reported initially. But his parents had reported him missing to police. So when there's an unidentified person and they have DNA tests, they can connect. One of the first places law enforcement looks to a lot of times is missing person lists. He was top of the list, brand new on the list. His parents had just reported him missing. Media reported this. But now in the hearing today, they're saying they identified him through the serial number. Maybe they pursued multiple avenues to identify him. Or are we just getting a ton of fake stories thrown at us? When people lie, it's hard to keep track of your lies, and then you end up messing up and telling mixed lies and contradicting yourself. It seems kind of like that's what we're dealing with right now as well. So Representative Turner came up next and said that Biden needs to fire you because his life, Trump's life, and all others you protect are at risk now because you have no concept of linking the security footprint to the threat. Everyone is telling her to get fired. Democrats and Republicans in the hearing today were like, you resign now. And she said to their face, no, I won't. Stunning. Representative Lynch from Massachusetts came up and asked, but she declined to say who allowed the podium to be unprotected from gunfire. There shouldn't be a line of sight to the podium that's not being watched out for. Now, I'm just going to remind you that the snipers over Trump's right shoulder were looking right at the rooftop where the shooter was. So they were monitoring that rooftop, yet they didn't see him, I guess. It's a little bit weird. You guys saw my theory about the shooter maybe not actually reaching the peak of that roof, as one TMZ cell phone video showed. But there's debate over whether that cell phone video from TMZ, it simply appears that the shooter is still low on the roof. Meaning, if you're low on the back side of the roof, you will not have a line of sight to your target. And in the cell phone video released by TMZ, it seems the shooter is really low on the back side of the roof. But it could be just the angle that the eyewitness was standing at that caused the shooter to look low on the roof. There is debate over that now. There's a really strange soundbite that I'm going to play that causes you to kind of continue scratching your head over that. There was someone sent me an overhead aerial view of the roof where the shooter was killed. And you see the smear of blood trickling down the roof side. And the blood does appear to start pretty high on the roof, higher on the roof than the shooter appeared in that TMZ video, but still not at the peak. The blood smear is still not at the peak of the roof. So what's really going on? So Lynch asked her about the rangefinder. She didn't know if the shooter was talked to about the rangefinder. They identify the shooter as a rangefinder on him like an hour before Trump takes the stage. Did anyone talk to him about his rangefinder? She doesn't know. She said that item is not prohibited. People are allowed to have rangefinders. Okay. Well, asked why Trump was kept on the stage so long after being shot at, she says that the agents threw themselves on him. So Lynch thinks it's ridiculous that Trump stayed on stage for over a minute after he was hit by a bullet. And she's like, that's okay because agents threw themselves on him. They acted as a human shield, and she commended them for that. They did risk their lives, I will say that. He says, yeah, but over a minute on that podium. And she says they created a body bunker. And he says, yeah, but it's an AR-15 that the shooter had. Like, it doesn't matter if they're huddling around Trump. If this guy's got an AR-15, he can still take Trump out. Like, the amount of time they kept Trump on that stage was so much time to end Trump's life. But she defended that as well. Lynch asked about the staffing crisis. She said that they have 8,000 staffers, but they would like to have 9,500 staffers. Maybe if they had 9,500, there would be enough to keep Trump protected at events. Congresswoman Fox came up next. She asked, what grade would you give the security detail? You won't believe it. This woman gave her security detail an A. Kimberly Cheadle said that the agents who threw themselves on Trump and the threat neutralizers got an A. She's still looking at the others. Well, I'll agree. Secret Service killed the alleged shooter very quickly, but not quickly enough. He rattled off at least like 5 shots at the president and hit the president and killed someone. She still gives them an A, though. Wow. Why would Americans have confidence in you? Representative Fox asked. Why would Americans have confidence in you now? And Cheadle said that she's committed to finding answers so that they can make changes. That is why we should still have confidence in her, because she's trying to find answers. A+ for bravery, Chris says. Look, the people who threw their bodies on Trump as a human shield, they were very brave. She's giving an A for effort, though. A for effort. F- for performance. Yeah. She needs to be fired. It is unbelievable. Fox says, okay, you told us that the buck stops with you. So what's going on here? Cheadle said, I'll continue to take accountability and make sure it doesn't happen again. Then Fox asked how Cheadle even got her job. Was there even competition for her job, or was she like just planted there by special interests? She says, no, I spent 27 years in this field, worked my way up through investigations, have been passionate about this field. She says that she believes she is the best person in the nation to run Secret Service at this time. Unbelievable. Representative Fox then goes on to ask Cheadle, why is Secret Service struggling so much with staffing? Here it is.
In 2022, the Secret Service saw nearly half its workforce leave in 1 year, and during the same year, it was ranked dead last among law enforcement agencies in the best places to work in the federal government. Can you explain why your agency was so poorly rated and why so many staff left in just 1 year?
So with all due respect, I dispute the statistic of half of the employees leaving in 2022. I think that has been inaccurate data that's been reported out there. But what I can tell you is, as I have returned as the director of the agency, we have had an increase in hiring and staffing and an increase in resources, and we are committed to continue to hire so that we can be staffed appropriately to meet the dynamic mission that we have.
Now, there was a number of the Democrat members of Congress who used this opportunity to advocate for the removal of Americans' Second Amendment rights. It was a funny exchange when Representative Connolly got up there and asked whether more guns makes her job and her agents' jobs easier or harder. And she would not answer that question. And it went on for like 5 minutes, and she would never answer whether more guns in general make Secret Service's job easier or harder. Then it went to Grothman, Representative Grothman or Grothman, I can't remember. The way he said roof, I was like, where's this guy from? He's from Wisconsin like me. The only word that I had to learn to say differently when I left Wisconsin, became a media person, was roof, because in Wisconsin we say roof. So Grothman's like, he climbed a ladder to get on the roof, right? She's like, I'm unable to answer that. He says, when did the ladder get up there? She says, FBI is still investigating. He said, how did the rifle get there? She said, I'm unable to answer. He said, have they cleaned the roof? She's like, I don't have an answer for that. Were Trump's normal agents there? Yes. Okay, she actually answered that one. Do you know which agents fired the shots? Yes, we do. I won't offer their name up in this setting, but it was one of our technical counter snipers. He said, can we privately get those names? She said, yes. He said, how many shots were fired? She defers to the FBI for that. Do we have the bullets from the shots? She defers to the FBI. He said, do we have the correspondence on shooter's phone? She deferred to the FBI. He said, you tried to change the makeup of the Secret Service. Too many men, you say, he says, why are you changing the makeup of the Secret Service, saying there's too many men? She's like, I've focused on hiring the best and brightest. It's not about men. It's about the best and brightest, she said. So FBI is the lead agency investigating what actually went down. And we've witnessed so much of how corrupt the FBI has been, doing seeming political targeting of Trump and his associates and his voters. You know, I just talked to a lady who works for a nonprofit that is helping J6ers right now. And she said, to this day, it's about 2 J6ers arrested every day. Still happening. I have to go verify whether that's true. But the last time I saw reporting on J6ers getting arrested was January 6th of this year. There were 4 people whose homes were raided. 2024, FBI is still raiding the homes of people who went to a Trump rally, in which doors were in some places, police had the doors open. In other places, protesters did break through the doors. And then video shows inside, police were acting as tour guides. Okay. In some areas. In other areas, police and protesters are pushing and shoving. Nevertheless, FBI is still going after these protesters and raiding them, and then having them spend years in prison. So that's part of the political targeting of the Biden FBI. And then now they're in charge of investigating an attack on Trump, when a lot of people are wondering if the FBI is perhaps attached to this attack on Trump somehow, which one of the members of Congress brought up all the conspiracy theories, which I thought was great. He's like, I'm going to address some conspiracy theories here. And he rattles through questions about top conspiracy theories, which I think is great, because why a lot of the reasons why a lot of conspiracy theories just like grow and grow into like a huge unverified thing is because nobody's brave enough to just freaking ask the basic conspiracy theory question. Well, this member of Congress, we'll get to it. He asked those things. So, okay, we got a soundbite from Representative Grothman from Wisconsin, and he asked about the shooter's line of sight. Now, this was. I raised my eyebrows a little bit here.
The shooter obtained a direct sight of President Trump from the position on the rooftop. I assume that is not something that should ever happen. It should never happen. Do you want to elaborate a little on how that happened, or what you wish you had done differently or would do differently next time there's a Trump rally?
Again, sir, the facts of this particular event are still unfolding. 9 days, there have been a number of reports that have been out there. So I do not want to provide information that perhaps would contradict something that has been erroneously reported or is not factual. But there clearly was a mistake, and we will take every effort to make sure that this never happens again.
Could you elaborate why you want 1/3 of the Secret Service to be women?
I've never stated that I want 1/3 of the Secret Service to be women.
30% or something. You had some target.
So the whole time, multiple people asked her about why are you doing this DEI stuff with like putting a bunch of women as agents, and she denied all of that. She denied all the prioritization of women, but we saw all the female agents there. And there's still debate over whether people with less testosterone can have such an aggressive, do as good of such an aggressive job. I know I would want to leave that job to men, but some women want that job. And like, are you capable of being a superior agent when your testosterone's in the female range? That's a question. So that was debated, but let's go back to what he was asking and her strange answer. He says that the shooter had a direct line of sight. How did this happen? What do you wish you did differently? She says she doesn't want to comment on something that's erroneous. So what's erroneous about that question? That the shooter didn't have a line of sight? Is that what's erroneous? I mean, that would harken back to my question about why in the cell phone video the shooter looks so low on the roof, so low that he wouldn't have a line of sight, in which case someone else fired the bullet. But that could totally be wrong, and it could just be that in that cell phone video the witness was filming from a weird diagonal low angle where it looked like he was low. So she's saying something in his question may very well be erroneous. His question included the shooter having a line of sight and how did people let this happen? So what is the erroneous part, that people didn't let this happen? I mean, they did let this happen. So that was super strange, her comment implying that there is an error out there in the media that she knows about and she's not going to put it on blast yet. Representative Jordan caught that drift and said, hold on, what do you mean by that?
I'll yield.
What was, Director, what was erroneously reported? You said, to Mr. Grothman's question, you said something was erroneously reported. What are you referring to?
I'm referring to their...
His question was in the context of the shooter using a ladder to get on the building. What was erroneously reported? Because you won't tell us anything, but you'll tell us something that wasn't reported accurately?
I'm saying, sir, that there have been a number of reports that are out there that have been speculation, and until we have the actual facts, I don't want to report anything that would contradict speculation that has been out there.
Thank you, gentlemen, for yielding.
What the heck is she talking about? Okay, Rennie brings up there was at least one other shooter on the water tower per Dark Horse podcast. Now, I saw it on another podcast that, and I'll try to, I meant to try to get that footage for this podcast. I didn't have time. But I think it was Right Side Broadcasting who was live streaming the event at the time. They zoomed way out, so the water tower was in their frame. And it's pretty blurry on a live stream that far from the water tower. The water tower is pretty blurry, but you see this dark figure move across the top of the water tower, perhaps a person going up there. Now, was someone perched on the water tower, that'd be a great line of sight from so high. I mean, it seemed like someone was moving across the top of the water tower. My thought was maybe that is where one of the Secret Service snipers was secretly perched to be able to see everything. And then the sniper, perhaps the sniper who took out the gunman was actually on the water tower, because security experts, sniping experts have told multiple outlets, including Blaze TV, that if you look from the look and sound of things, those snipers to Trump's right were not the ones who pulled the trigger and killed the bad guy. Largely because you see when the first shots are fired, that one sniper up on the tripod literally like jolts and lifts his head. It's like he got scared, which military experts say like a sniper like that high level of a sniper should not flinch at the sound of a gunshot. But nevertheless, he flinches, and what happens is his gun goes from pointed like this to pointed like that. And then you hear the bad guy get hit. You hear the different sounding bullet that seems to come from another gun, and people are saying that must be the sniper that took out the bad guy. It couldn't have been the guy to Trump's right because his gun was pointed down at the time because he had just jerked. So was the water tower person actually the Secret Service sniper, or was it the real shooter? We're hearing all the rumors, and people are, and Congress is asking questions about all this. So this is a lingering question. Was this kid just a super obvious patsy that they could take down and they could blame for trying to shoot Trump when the real bullet came from somewhere else? That's what people are wondering, and people are asking about whether it came from the water tower. Now, in these first 2 hours of the hearing today that I analyzed, I just don't have time today to analyze all 5 hours, I think it was. A ridiculous amount of hours. Let's see what it was. Yeah, it was a 5-hour hearing today. I don't have time to analyze the entire hearing, but in the first 2 hours of the hearing, I did not hear anything about the water tower. We go on to Representative Krishnamurti. He tells her at 5:51 p.m. that day, state police alerted Secret Service of a gunman. Krishnamurti played the video of the gunman inchworming upwards on the rooftop 2 minutes before shots rang out. Witnesses are cell phone filming this kid getting into place, setting up to kill Trump, because somehow average voters can see this happening, but Secret Service can't. So he's calling her out for this. He plays the video. He says, that looks like a threat, not suspicious to me. Remember, she said, we didn't have a threat alert before the shots rang out. It was only suspicious. He's like, look, that looks like a threat. That's not a suspicious person. That is a threat person. Cheadle says, we are still combing through the communications. He's like, was there ever a point where Secret Service considered pausing the rally? And Cheadle said they would have if they identified a threat. So a kid with a gun inchworming up a roof is not a threat to Secret Service. And she's determined to remain on staff with this policy. None of the protectees are safe under what she's saying. I mean, she's outing herself for just horrendous policy. The security perimeter he talks about was drawn in a way to keep the AGR building out of it, but it was clearly within rifle range, right? She said, yes. That's why everyone's wondering. You can't just say, I'm sorry, that building was outside a perimeter. Don't draw a dumb perimeter. Draw a smart perimeter that's going to keep people alive. He said, let me direct your attention to some conspiracy theories. All right. Here we go. He said, you haven't found that this was staged, correct? She said, correct. He said, you haven't found that this was a conspiracy of high-ranking officials, correct? She said, correct. He said, you haven't found that this was directed by a foreign state or entity, correct? She said, not at this time. There you go, guys. So that's the truth then, right? I don't think that exchange there really shut down any conspiracy theories. She's directly addressing them, saying it's not true. But I know that there's people that I know who still think this was staged, that Trump participated in pretending to get shot. From all the video evidence you see, there's no way that was staged. As a crime reporter who's covered bullet grazings happen every day, and one happened to Trump, and all the video evidence showed one happened to Trump, and I just cannot. I would have to see evidence that it was staged. All I'm seeing is evidence that it wasn't staged. Okay, so I'm just following the evidence. Anyway. Representative Cloud gets up there from Texas. He said there was only one counter sniper who fired one shot, correct? She said, yes. He said, how many spent shell casings were found on the roof? Major key. That is what I want to know, because if there are spent shell casings on the roof, then the shooter did try to shoot Trump, even though it doesn't look like he had a line of sight to Trump from the cell phone video. Let's see how many shell casings there were. She said that the FBI is investigating that. So we don't have any information on spent shell casings on the roof. He said the car had explosives. She said the FBI is investigating. He said Secret Service didn't sweep the building the shooter used. She said we are conducting a mission assurance investigation to see what happened. Okay. And then Cloud went on to say it's very troubling that a lot of us, the number one question everyone in America is wondering is, why was the roof left open? And after 9 days, we should at least have a little bit of that information. When you come to this committee hearing and you don't have anything to say about that, it is very, very troubling. She says that she doesn't review security plans, because he's like, did you review this security plan before Ab? And she says she's not the one who does that. So who is the top person who reviews the security plans, he asked. She says that there's a group of people who work on that. He's like, isn't there an individual who signs off on the plan? She's like, it's multi-layered. He's like, okay, so there's no accountability. Got it. She's like, no, there is accountability. She said that she assures us that she is reviewing her staff, and if there is someone to hold accountable, she will. Representative Cloud, this wasn't Representative Cloud who asked this. I forget which representative asked this, but they asked, if Biden was shot and killed, would you still think that would be worthy of your resignation? Would that be worthy? She's like, I would do the same thing I'm doing here. So even if the standing president was killed in an assassination, this woman would still not resign. And this is where I put on my Insta story, like, hate to break it to you ladies, but women are capable of narcissism too. And this is a narcissist. Kimberly Cheadle is a typical narcissist. She's staying on even if the standing presidents were killed in an assassination. She would not stand down, because even though it is her fault, it's not her fault. And she's still the best person to run the show, she says. Unbelievable. Cheadle said everyone who moves through the application process has to meet the same standard to become an agent. Yeah, they were asking her about DEI there. She's like, no, they all meet the same standard. We do not look at their gender or their race or anything like that, she's claiming. We had a soundbite, Lacey. I don't think I had time to put all. Oh, I do have this soundbite. Okay. Representative Cloud from Texas called her out for basically investigating herself. Like, why can we trust your investigation when you're investigating yourself?
You didn't give us an advanced copy of your opening statement, but yet there was reporting on it somewhere else. There seems to be more information from YouTube videos than you're able to provide for us, and it begs the question to anyone, you're in charge of the investigation of your own failure. So how is anybody in America supposed to be able to trust the results of that investigation as being anything transparent and genuine?
That's the last question, but please feel free to answer the question, Director.
Sir, I've been a Secret Service agent for nearly 30 years. I have led with integrity, and I follow our core values of duty, justice, honor, loyalty, and courage. And I am doing that in this case, and I assure this committee that I will provide answers when we have a full and complete report, in addition to cooperating with all of the other investigations that are ongoing.
She's so good at those political answers. Yeah, this hearing was not reassuring at all. And yes, I called out the ladies when I said narcissism, because I am so freaking tired of girls calling everyone a narcissist. Like all men, the number of millennial women my age who think all men are narcissists is an outrageous number. And I'm calling it out right here. And then I'm going to go back to my little hole and never mention the N-word again, because I can't stand the obsession over narcissism. But if we are going to, women need to understand that they themselves are narcissists a lot of the times. And this leader, Ms. Cheadle, is one of the narcissists. Okay, no more on that topic. Okay, someone was asking, oh my gosh, I thought you were from Texas, not Wisconsin. Yeah, I grew up in Wisconsin and I've been living in Texas for the last like 7 years. But guys, I might move again. Where do you think I'm going to move? Oh my gosh, sneak peek. Looking at your comment section. Only when the FBI gives her the cover story will she give it out. I think that guy is correct. Mr. C said that. I think that's true. She is just going to parrot what the FBI tells her to say, or, basically, in her defense, honestly, a separate agency is investigating a lot of the details of the actual crime. Her investigation is supposed to be of her staff, but she wants to make her staff look good because if her staff looks good, she looks good. And that's why we can't trust her investigating her own staff. That is why I was glad to see Congress investigating her. And that's what's happening right now, is that while she's investigating herself, Congress is investigating her. But hopefully Congress goes beyond just asking her questions, because as we saw today, she's clearly a BSer. But I believe Congress said that they're going to review video, talk to witnesses, and get all the details. And hopefully Congress can come to a conclusion on this. And surely with the separation of powers, there's got to be a way to get her removed from that position, because it's insane to me that the only person who can fire her is the president of the United States. And this assassin almost took out the president's opponent. Therefore, why would the president get rid of her when basically her failure is kind of helping the president? But actually it backfired, and it ended up being a huge publicity thing for Trump. People say, look at God. It seems to be a God thing. Representative Khan from California, Democrat, he called her out viciously, and he told her to her face, you need to resign. Please resign. Not even please. Resign. And she said back to his face that she would not. I posted part of that exchange on my social media accounts. So there's got to be a way for the American people to fire this lady if her corrupt president won't. Which brings me to the next topic of discussion. Where is our corrupt president? Is he still alive? Questions are growing as to whether President Joe Biden is still alive. He drops a written statement, which he probably didn't write, on his Twitter, saying that he's resigning from the race, but he's still going to run the country. Last we heard, he had a very mild case of COVID and he was resting at home. Then suddenly he puts this out. He's resigning, but nobody's seen him. Is he doing okay? Is he still alive? His Twitter, guys, did you see his Twitter account? Biden's staff, I do not think Joe Biden tweets. This is all his staff. So Biden's staff uninstalled him. They resigned him with this. But look at the top. They put a banner up, Harris for president. So Biden's staff is already getting the donations coming for Kamala Harris. Barack and Michelle Obama did not endorse Kamala. Hillary Clinton did endorse Kamala. Questions are flying as to whether Michelle Obama is going to try to run against Kamala Harris. A lot of people want Michelle to run. She would be a way stronger candidate than Kamala. And immediately, Republicans, people on the right, are putting out hit pieces on Kamala. I'm seeing all these conservatives bring up the most embarrassing clips of Kamala, showing what a dumb speaker she is. She's just as bad as Joe Biden. And now, if I were a political activist on the right, I would not be doing this. because we all know what a horrendous candidate Kamala is. Like, she is bad. She's a worse candidate than Joe Biden. If people on the right really want Donald Trump to win, you help advocate for Kamala to win the nomination. Like, if people on the right like are using their brains right now, they're going to post Kamala's best clips right now so that she'll land the nomination. Then, once the nomination is landed, the rest is history. The next debate is going to be so embarrassing for Kamala. If Kamala wins the Democrat nomination, it's got to be a landslide slam dunk for Trump. If Michelle Obama gets the nomination, that's another question. I have a friend who's right now planning to vote for Trump, but if Michelle Obama gets the nomination, he's switching his vote to Michelle. So there are a lot of independents who would switch their vote to Michelle, but they're going to go for Trump if it's Kamala. And that's why I think Republicans are dumb for trashing Kamala right now. Let Kamala secure that nomination, and then your guy Trump is going to have a way easier time winning. What's your thoughts on this? We don't want Headboard Harris. What's this? I haven't heard that nickname before. Yada yada. Comments about Michelle being a man. Like, I don't know where this ridiculous conspiracy came out about Michelle being a man. Like, things are going a little ridiculous. You know that after I left Fox, I was out to dinner and a random guy comes up to me and like, he's like, "Oh, I love you. Thanks for calling out Fox." Like, he made some joke about Michelle Obama being a man, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And at the time I had never heard this conspiracy theory before. Now I hear it like every day, and I'm like, "What is going on?" But he's like, "Oh, you're a conservative, right? That like all conservatives know that Michelle Obama is a man." And I'm like, you got a lot. You're making a lot of mistakes about me, first of all, buddy. I'm a pro-freedom journalist. That's it. I've never been a conservative. I absolutely fiercely love freedom, way more than conservatives. And I love facts. And some BS about a chick being a man is, first of all, a dumb distraction is the main thing that I've seen no evidence for. So that's my talk, my take on Michelle. Michelle Obama being a man is just really stupid, but she would be a way stronger candidate for the Democrats. So if Republicans really want Trump to win, they better help Kamala secure the nomination and not Michelle. And now I've gone far too long in this talk. It has been a joy being with you guys. And you guys have a good one. See you guys next time.